What's up, everybody? Robert here. YouTube channel's PitotStaticRob. If you're becoming a pilot or thinking of becoming one, obviously you clicked on this video and you would probably, I hope, get the point of that name right there. So anyways, the point of this video is basically to give you guys some information or instructions, I guess, if you want to take it that way, on how to become a pilot or taking that path course. So I did have a YouTube channel previous to this. I did have a lot of subscribers. I mean, I wouldn't say a lot, a couple thousand, but whatever. I actually ended up selling that channel, so this is a new one I'm starting up, and I'm just trying to make it basically an aviation and mountain bike themed channel. So the first thing I want to go into as far as becoming a pilot is definitely going to be either a discovery flight or heading out to your local flight school and just looking around, talking to some instructors, things like that. Some of the students there, you definitely want to interact with some of the students. I know with Corona going on right now, COVID-19 and everything, I know they might be a little stringent on the rules, maybe visitors, but I'm sure if you call ahead and let them know, hey, I'm a prospective flight student, or with your parents if you're under 18, whatever, and you want to become a pilot, I'm sure they'll let you come in, and different schools have different age limits, things like that, so you might want to check into that as well. I'm studying at Phoenix East Aviation. It's a really well-known school, just like ATP. ATP is a little bit more fast-tracked, I guess you can say. So what you want to do is you want to go out there, you want to go ahead and talk to some students, talk to the instructors, and things like that. You just want to kind of get like a little look at the school and see what everything's like. Once you do that, you could either take a discovery flight, which is where you go up in the plane. They kind of let you get a feel for the airplane. You fly with the instructor or whoever's with you, and you kind of get a feel for what it's like to be in a small general aviation plane. I mean, if you've flown before, obviously in commercial aircraft, things like that, or even smaller ones, it's nothing like being behind the actual, yoke of an airplane and actually feeling the aircraft, getting a feel for it, and seeing if you like it. Me, myself, I never took a discovery flight. I just kind of always loved aviation, so I knew first and foremost that when this is the career path I wanted to take and put my all into it, I just kind of went at it 100%. And, I'm not going to lie, being in the cockpit for the first few times flying, it was a little nauseating at first, doing different maneuvers, stalls, things like that. I never got to the point of, vomiting or anything like that. Excuse the graphics, but I mean, if you're having a light stomach or something like that, not too bad on that. You might throw up or you might feel nauseous. Over time, you get used to it. I'm used to it by now. It doesn't even affect me anymore when we do steep turns, things like that. But yeah, for the most part, it's really not even that bad. I mean, you'll get used to it. You'll be fine. Next thing I want to talk about: flight schools, where you want to train at. Obviously, this depends on what state you're in. Your living situation, whether you're going to be able to do this all the time, things like that. So it's really going to depend on that. And as far as your flight school, down here in Florida, we do have a lot of them. Every state varies. Most states have a few different flight schools to choose from, almost so many that you're kind of going to be racking your brain trying to figure out which one to go to. So at least in Florida, the main ones that we have down here that are very well known are Phoenix East Aviation, or PEA as it's abbreviated, and ATP Flight School. Next thing I want to talk about is the Part 141 and Part 61 in the schools. Now, if you do have a flight school that's going to be Part 141, it's more of a structured program. Part 61 is more like on your own schedule when you want to do flight training. It's not really structured, although they do have a structure, but it's more like, hey, I want to come in today. You give them your schedule, what you're free like, whenever, and you kind of just come in and your training is sporadically placed all over the place, but the end goal is still the same, to get your license. Part 141, like I said, is more structured. It's basically as if you're going to a school in a sense, and they have everything, lesson plans, everything out. You can go ahead and, in my case at PEA, you can click on your lesson plan, see what you're going to be doing. You can scroll down, things like that. Also, if you take it with a college, like for example, Embry-Riddle, Broward College in Pembroke Pines, things like that, if you go to the flight school that's maybe unified with the college, you actually qualify. You can get your not your commercial, but your ATP. You can get your minimums, restricted down to lower hours. So for example, let's say it's 1,500 hours is that golden, as we all know, that golden hour rule, 1,500 hours to be in the airlines, right? With an associate's, doing the pilot program at BC or Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, places like that, you get it down to $1,250. You get your bachelor's, it goes down to $1,000. So obviously you do want to look into that and see if that's something you might be willing to do. Even people that already have degrees still take that route because it brings your minimums down, less time that you got to be flying, and also less time that you're flying and trying to get those hours is also less money in your pocket, out of your pocket, I should say. Next thing I want to talk about is the pricing on that stuff. I know with Phoenix East Aviation, I have it right here, the figures on my iPad. Did a little bit of research for you guys beforehand, even before I enrolled. I'm in my uniform now. I just came from a flight today. So I flew from KHWO, which is North Perry Airport, and I flew from there to Sarasota and back. So basically what you want to look into is the pricing, and just make sure you have your situation handled on how you want to do that. Some people recommend saving up some money, working it off, and then training as you go. Some people take loans, ask people for help, things like that. Just keep in mind it is pretty pricey, so you do want to go ahead and have something in somewhat of an idea of what you're going to do to cover those prices. Phoenix East Aviation, on their website, if you just Google it, this is a rough estimate, it's $49,534. And that's without credit for private pilot. So if you want to add that in there also, it's $13,990. So that's, say roughly 65 grand, but it also depends on how your training goes. I mean, they say here $13,990 for your private, but my private pilot license at PEA took me 10 grand, maybe under that. So it is all based on if you have a busted check ride, how well your studying habits are, things like that. Now ATP, from 0 time, so starting out, never been in an airplane, no private pilot license, nothing like that, you're going to be starting out on $80,995, and that's for 9 months. Obviously you do see a very substantial price increase there, over 20 grand. Now that's because that's a fast track program, 9 months, you're in and out, and it's very heavy workload. I do not recommend doing that if you have a full-time job or even a part-time job. With them, you can get a loan through Sallie Mae. I actually looked into that. That was going to be my choice prior to PEA, but I ended up going with PEA just for personal reasons, things like that. Scheduling, they're very good with scheduling. ATP, I mean, I'm not going to say you can't have no life, because I do have friends that go there and they do have a life of their own, but it's very hard to maintain, especially with the workload and study you have to do with them, and it's just more money out of your pocket if you fail that or mess up on a check ride or something like that. So you just want to keep that in mind. If you already have your private pilot license, it's going to be $63,995, and that's a 6-month program with ATP instead of 9 months with 0 time, and that means in and out all the way through CFI, MEI, ATP, all of that. I mean, and then you could basically, with them, you get hired at a CFI camp, you do CFI camp training, it's really cool, their program, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it does seem very interesting when you look at it. You travel a lot, you go to Daytona, different bases that they're at, you do training, they have in-housing options where you live on the campus, everything's included. So it is a really cool school. I would definitely look into them. If you're looking to get into the airlines, maybe you think you're at an older age, or you just want to fast track everything, go through, boom, 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 and get all through it, you can go ahead and try that out. Just keep in mind the money problem. So they do partner with Sallie Mae, which is a good loan provider if you want to look into them. And it's really, once it's all said and done, I mean, you're out the door either 6 to 9 months, and then after that, your CFI training until your hours are built up. So either way, it's really cool and good career opportunities, obviously. Next thing that I want to go into is documents to become a pilot, what you need. So really just driver's license. No, I'm kidding. You do need a driver's license or an ID, depending if you're under 18, over 18, and your state, obviously. Some states you can get your private pilot at, I believe, 15, 16 or something like that, or student pilot license, one of the two, but I'd have to check that out. I kind of forgot, but you can get them pretty young, fairly young. I mean, I've heard of private pilots that are 16, 17 years old, so you can get it underage. It obviously just depends your state and requirements, things like that, and the FARs and things like that. Documents you're going to need is going to be a driver's license, a passport, something like that, something of that nature, and you're going to want to go ahead and get a medical. Now, I don't mean like, a colonoscopy, you're going to go in and this and that. No, a medical, you're going to go to like an aviation examiner, basically an FAA certified doctor. And what you do is basically you go in, there's first, second, and third class medicals. Third class is the less stringent. They're not so, they'll basically give that to anybody in a sense. Second class, a little more upbeat. You kind of, the test you got to do with that, at least what I did, you take a vision test, a hearing test, drug test, obviously. So if you're doing any type of thing like that, quit while you're ahead. You don't want that coming back. And it's just not professional anyways when you want to get into this type of industry. And and then I believe that was about it. Now first class, it's a little more complex. They do have more tests. I haven't taken my first class. I have a second class medical, but as far as what I know from it and what I've heard of friends that have it, you basically do all the same tests, and then depending on your age, you do like an ECG test, I believe it's called, things like that. So it just really all depends. I should have went with first class out the gate. It's always better to do that so you know that you're qualified first offhand and you don't have to worry about anything in the future. Next thing where I messed up is I have 2 last names. I put that on the thing, but the doctor actually only put one of my last names. So it gave me a little bit of hassle back and forth with my flight school. They finally wavered it and let me go without adding the second last name. So for example, on my passport, I have 2 last names. On my license, 2 last names, but on my medical, I have 1 last name. So every time I do a check ride, they always question that, look at that, but they look in the notes and see it's okay for now. But obviously before airlines, flight training, I do have to have that taken care of. And I should go ahead and get that taken care of. I'm just got a lot going on right now with training and school and work, so it's kind of hard. So, that's really about it as far as becoming a pilot, at least getting your foot in the door to becoming a student pilot, I should say, and then, starting your training. My personal experience at PEA was very pleasant. I came in, got the information packet, spoke with the tutors there, they're basically CFIs, other people like that, students there, and I just spoke to them, got a feel for it. I didn't take a discovery flight, but what you can do at some schools is what's called a backseat, where you basically hop on a flight with a student that's going up or an instructor or something like that, and although you're not at the controls, you can kind of get the feel for the airplane, sit in the back, see what it feels like. So it all depends on how you want to go about doing that. I do recommend taking a discovery flight. I didn't take one because I've just always known that's what I want. Hey, if I go up there and I feel nauseous my first 50 flights and it's not getting over it, listen, that's something I'll deal with until I get through it, because over time everybody will get past that. That's just something I love. Aviation flying, so it's something that, although that's a dream of mine and it's already a reality now, and it's just something I'd have to get used to. So obviously over time your body does adapt, you do change, and you do get used to it. That's really about everything. So any questions, definitely leave some comments and things on the bottom in the comment section, like and subscribe, and I'll definitely be having more videos coming out with more information, things like that. So like the video.